Hello everyone. Welcome to this edition of Startup Thursdays, and this time we have a session on Azure Speech, and it will be given by Vivek Sridhar. So I'll quickly introduce the topic. So the topic is create speech-enabled apps with Azure Cognitive Speech Service. And the Azure Cognitive Service enables you to build speech-enabled applications. This heavy demo-driven session will focus on the speech-to-text and text-to-speech APIs, which enable you to create apps capable of speech recognition and speech synthesis. We'll also see in the session translation of speech that builds on speech recognition by recognizing and transcribing spoken input in a specific language, and then returning translations of the transcription in one or more languages, right? So we'll see a bunch of demos, and also we'll learn about the features as well. Yeah, and I just want to go ahead and introduce the speaker. So the speaker is Vivek Sridhar. He's a senior cloud advocate, cloud plus AI engineering at Microsoft. Vivek is a technophile and open source contributor with more than 15 years of experience in the software industry, and he works, as I said, as a senior cloud advocate in the Cloud Plus AI engineering team. In his previous role, he has mentored startups, developers, and has been a speaker at various conferences and meetups for DigitalOcean, again as a senior developer advocate. And before that, he was a co-founder and chief architect of Noodle Technologies. He was and some other notable states were also like heading DevOps at Blackbuck and being a solution architect at HCL Australia in a client engagement. Vivek had started his career with IBM Rational, India Software Labs as a software developer, and he has published 3 papers in international forum, including one international journal. So without much ado, I will hand it over to Vivek. So Vivek will take you through the presentations. Meanwhile, you can keep your questions coming in the chat. We'll take all of the questions together at the end of the session. So we expect it to be about 45 minutes to an hour, and then we'll take questions at the end. For the simple reason is that many of the questions we expect to be answered in the session itself, and we want to give enough time to be able to run through the demos. So we look forward to your participation and keep the questions coming as they come to your mind, and then I'll relay them to Vivek as well. Yeah, over to you, Vivek.
Hey, thanks, Vinayak. Hopefully, I'm audible.
Yeah, we can
Yes,
we
Vivek.
can hear you all right,
Okay, you
and
can see my
we
screen,
can
you
see your
can see my
presentation.
PPT, everything. So, um, these are my coordinates, by the way, and thanks for the introduction, Vinayak. And these are my digital coordinates. You can land in any of these links and get connected with me. Either after this session, if you have any questions around it, feel free to connect and ask questions whenever you are feeling that you want some guidance in terms of using this tool. Um, from agenda perspective, as Vinayak spoke about, we're going to do two things. One is to build a clock app, which is specifically using the speech service to where you're inputting your basically you're asking for a time and it is replying back with the time and with a specific voice and other things. And the other app is a traveler app where you are going to it's basically translation in terms of languages. So we're going to see all these things and we're going to spend some time on the references which I'm going to make. So it's a couple of links which I'm going to give you. And by the way, you can also work with me while I'm building this app. I'm going to give you a link where you can go back and enable the lab and you can specifically work with me on this. And if you have any doubts, we can clear then and there. Otherwise, you can also work on that lab after this session as well. So that's the main agenda of this discussion. And these are the two different learn modules which I'm going to work with. There's a QR code if you want to use that as a QR code. And if you're new to AI as well, and if you want to understand Azure AI specifically, these are the two links which I have for you. You can go to these these two links and work on it. The first link is more about um, these two learn modules, which is specifically building the app using the Azure Speech Service, and the second one is about building the translation. So basically, the language translation of your app. So I'll just post this link if anyone in the audience who want to pick it up and want to drive it. But I'll also show you this specific link as well. So let me show you this to app. Um, just posting this link for you if anybody wants to try it out. And specifically this link, which I want to show is if you're new to AI, it could be possible that, new to AI from Azure perspective. So there is um, an amazing journey here. Um, it's basically your journey to success. So basically, there's a nice PPT which is available out there. How you can become a hero. Basically, it's a journey: week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. 4 weeks of things you can do. You can learn everything with respect to Azure AI, right? So go through that link if you're interested in learning in depth of these things. Cool. So you can, while I'm doing the session, you can go through this specific link and I'll show you how to enable the lab and other things. But that is something we will do it later. So from a discussion perspective, right? So I just want to, you know, spend some time even before understanding what is uh, Azure Speech. In fact, what is AI, right? So basically, uh, you're getting your app a human touch, right? So basically, you are bringing human touch into your app, is what AI is all about. And Azure Cognitive Services is nothing but a pre-built models which is already there. If you have a little bit of background on data science and other things, the model is nothing but the data sets, the data which you have, the information you have. You're building that information together and creating some creating some analysis on that data, right? So that is pre-built for you. That is what Azure Cognitive Services are. You can also build your own models using various tools, and you can also use different set of tools which we also have, where you can use it for no code development as well. But one of the way is the Azure Cognitive Service is for um, building it pre-built models which is already available for you. And then as a developer, it's easier for to get started with it. And as a startup, you have to think from a startup perspective. You don't need to have a lot of data scientists, a lot of people behind it. You can just go there and use these different APIs which is provided by Azure team, and you just use that, and your app is up and running. And we will see that as well, how easy it is to build it. And we will go through the development part of it, and that's what my session will focus on. Before that, just to introduce, obviously we have done a couple of sessions previous to this for Azure Cognitive Services. There are a couple of services which is there, like vision, speech, language, search APIs, and decision services. You can go and even try it out as well. But from a speech perspective, these are the things uh, which we will see from a scope perspective what we have. So it's basically a speech to text. So one of the service which you're going to use is, say for example, I'm speaking and it is converting into a text, and then there is a text which is getting converted into a output, which means it is coming as a output as a voice. And then there is translation, basically I'm speaking in English and it is getting translated into Hindi. And then there is speaker recognition, that is speaker recognizing who is the speaker, who is speaking on, is it the right person who is talking. So you're building models based on that. And there are tools, there are enabler tools. Speech Studio, we're going to see a little bit of demo of Speech Studio as well. I've done a small demo for that. I will anyways focus on that as well. And there is Speech SDK. We are going to use Speech SDK heavily. It's the easiest way, one-stop place where you can build code, use it and build your code to do all the all the rest of the things which is available for you. For example, speech to text, text to speech. For all these things, you can use only one SDK where it is available for you. You can just install it and just use it as a simple as a modules, right? So and then there is ingestion client and batch toolkit for scale perspective. If you're scaling, and I'll show you the architecture of ingestion client and why batch toolkits also is required, because if you're using a lot of audio tools, a lot of audio is coming into your system, how you can scale that using batch toolkit as well. The most important thing is how do you deploy, right? You have what you want from an app building perspective, and there are tools to build it, and also how do you deploy it. There is cloud, which is provided by us, and there is on-prem. The reason why you can build on-prem is because there is a support for containers. So you can build this code in containers. There is already a container images available for you. You can directly use those images and build on top of that. And then there is obviously, once you build it with container, you can also use it in the edge. The use case of edge is very different. It's IoT enabled. So if custom keywords basically which we are talking about, say, but for example, hey, enable light, verify something. So you are running those kind of commands, and it is the Azure Page Service is helping you build it on the edge as well, using the container technology, right? So for an example, let's take an example of what we are doing right now, right? So for example, we have take this PPT itself. There is caption here, right? If I click on the caption, now it's in real time. It is converting my, the speech, which the talk which I am talking here, into text. And if it is really good, you can also build text to speech. So basically, if you go back and create a feature within your app where you're saying, hey, whatever text which is coming in, can you speak back in different voice or different language. Uh, Probably that can be done using speech translation and also using text to speech, right? And also you can build a output in different voices. So basically, if you don't want Vivek's voice, you can also go back and build it with different voices. And then there is speech recognition as well. So and in recognition, what it means is, say for example, is this Vivek who is speaking, and how do you identify who is the speaker? Is it really Vivek, or is it someone else? Is If you want to identify that, you can build your app with recognition, which is already pre-built for you. All the APIs are pre-built for you. You're using these APIs and building an app for it, and then you're making sure that you're deploying this app and building it for scale, right? And you have different ways to scale it. That's the whole thing. So you can also do a custom using Speech Studio, which is also as a part of one of the ways to build your application. We'll see that as an example as well. So let's not waste much time here. So we'll go back and build the application. So I'm going to use, um, before I go here, common use cases. We have already discussed that. Before I go, I have already pasted the link to the Learn modules. So I'm going to go to the Learn module, which I have. So this is a Learn module which I have been using. So the link I have pasted, the first link which I have pasted in the chat, is this link. So this link provides you a detailed run through of two different application. One is to build a speech enabled app, and one is to build a translation app. So we'll see what it is. So basically, let's go through one by one. I'm going to go through this specifically. And as I told you, the speech service provides you with different APIs uh, for speech to text, which is speech recognition, text to speech, which is also called as speech synthesis. So basically, you are converting it into an output. And also there is translation, which is to translate into multiple languages, and also recognition. So you're recognizing who is the speaker, and intent recognition as well, language understanding and semantics and other things. So there are a couple of this one we have separate Azure Cognitive Service for that, which is called as language service for that. So this module is focusing on all these things, and I'll not spend much time here. And provisioning of an Azure resource for speech, we will do it when we get into the lab. While we are working on the lab, I'll show you how you can go to the portal and create a cognitive service and get these keys and locations and other things. So from a speech to text perspective, how do you build it? So there is an API which is already there from Microsoft. It's the endpoint API which is there. You can use it, and there is also short audio APIs. This is supported for 60 seconds and other things, and there you can also use long audios as well. There is another API for endpoint for that as well. So this is for using REST APIs, but most of the cases you use SDKs, right? If you're programming, you always make sure that you use it with SDKs. And how do you build it with SDKs, right? So this is how you build for speech to text SDK. So if you see here, in the specific diagram, there is speech configuration. So when do you use speech configuration? That is, you want to make sure that you are using the resources of Azure. So you are going to provide the location and key. If you remember the previous step where we were supposed to create in the portal the Azure Cognitive Service, when we create that, there is a location and key which gets generated, which is uh, which is this way. If I have to show you um, all resources, and there is speech service, cognitive service, sorry. And you can see here, if I go to keys and endpoint, you can see this keys and location, right? So these are the two things which we need when we deploy it. How do we deploy it? I'll show you when we get to the demo. So this is, so basically you got two things. One is speech configure and one is audio configuration. So speech configuration is to connect to the right speech resource. Audio configuration is required to get the input. So basically either you want have a microphone or you want to use a file to audio files as an input from a speech perspective. You can also create you know um, MP3s of videos, audio files, a bunch of audio files, and upload it for speech audio configurations as well. So either microphone, anything works in this specific demo, but uh, this is how you do it configuration perspective. So once you have these both the configuration, what you do is you go and create a speech recognizer object, which is also a client, which is it's basically a speech to text API client, and you create it, and you call this object, and obviously it uses a method called recognize once async. So this is all based on the SDKs. So when I talk about SDKs, you know if you go to the SDK, let me show you where is the SDK I have. It's in, yeah. So this is a detailed documentation of the SDK. So if you go to this SDKs, you will understand what all options you have, what all it does, and various things which is required from a development perspective. I'm going to share this link anyways in the chat, so that you can also take a look at it from uh, example perspective. So let me go back to my, so it's all there in the SDK. So if you understand the SDK one by one, and you'll be able to see what we are going to do as a execution. So basically you're running it once asynchronously, and you get the data. And once you have done the speech, and it is getting the data, the result is stored in the speech recognition result object, and it has certain properties, and from these properties you can take the information to your code and obviously use that information as required, right? So basically we are going to use all of these in the code as well. So the reason is where the property where you're going to keep these results and reason for recognition, right? There is a either it is proper or not, and then if the result is no matching and cancelled, you can also see that results ID and other things where cancellations and information you can bring out from a logging perspective as well. So we're going to see that in the code when we do the demo. So text to speech API is also the same. You have the APIs which you can use directly, or you can use the SDK. This is the REST APIs which you can use, and this is the SDK. Here also you can see there's a speech config the same way, the audio config is the same way, but the only thing which changes is you create a speech synthesizer as an object for these two different input, and then obviously you use speak text async method, which is also there part of the SDK, and you are going to use that method to get the information in these properties, and this is stored in speech synthesizer result object, and this has properties which is required to bring out the information. So while we are coding, we can see this as well. And there are a couple of things. Audio formatting, you want to set up audio formatting, like what is the sample rate, bit rate, which of the audio file types I need to use, or voice enabled. You want to use a different kind of voices. So here we are using different, we'll see different voices as well, which is required, and we'll play around with our code, and we'll see that. So this is how you can build a simple voice enabled things as well. So from a development perspective, you have APIs, you have an SDK, and you go and create configurations, and you can see this from the previous steps as well. You go and create configurations, you create methods, you're going to run it, and once you run it, it is stored in a result, and you are going to use the result object to get these properties, right? These are different information which is available. You're going to use it. It's very straightforward development, right? And if you're from an object-oriented world, it's all very clear. And once you go here, voice enabled is also these are a couple of settings which you need to make. The most important thing about this is you can also use markup language. We're going to use that markup language as well. The markup language is to get more control over the output of the speech, right? So that means whether you want to have a as you can see, whether you want to have a exciting uh, output, or you want to have a cheerful, or you want to have a question mark, or if you want to have a different kind of, you want to wait and you want to give a punctuation and other things. Um, so these are things where you can control more to control your output. uh, you can use markup language. We're going to use some of these examples as well, but this is how you can design it, and there is a detailed documentation of this on how you can use it. I'm going to share that link as well, so you can go back and try it out and try different expressions, different ways to do it. So this is also using the same thing. It's just that it uses the same thing, and but it uses a method called different method called SSML async, which is also part of the SDK, and so you can use it. So here is an exercise. Here is a complete. We are going to do this fully and run this code. If you want to do this with me, you can go to this. I had given the link to you. So go to that link and launch the lab. And you can, once you launch the lab, you can log in and start working the way I'm working. So, but I'm not using the lab. I have set up my own setup on my virtual machine. I mean, sorry, on my laptop, and everything is set up in my laptop. And if you want to do that as well, there is a detailed instructions here, detailed exercise here, so you can also go through that. But if you want to use it without using anything, you can just launch it in the lab and see. So you can also wait. Now I'm going to show you how to set it up. So how do we set it up from a lab environment perspective? If you see this, um, so basically, it's very simple. I'm using .NET, so I have .NET installed. If you want to use Python, there is Python installations required. There are a couple of things which is required. Installed Azure CLI. I have installed the Git is just to get the code, and these are some of the extensions we are going to use. And bot framework is obviously for different. So this specific lab environment is for a lot of other examples as well. So some of these things you might not need. All only thing which I have used is .NET. Apart from that, nothing much. Azure CLI, Git, and Visual Studio extensions. So that's it. So if I go to the other link which is there, that is here exercise instruction, which is there in the exercise which I have provided. Just go here, and this is what we are going to build now. Speaking clock application, which has a speech to text API used and text to speech API used. It is basically it recognizes the speech and converts it into a text, and then it converts that text into a speech synthesizer. So it synthesizes the whatever the output is, and it is becoming a audible speech for us. And this is what we are going to do right now. So there are certain issues if you don't have a proper headphones and speaker and other things. Sometimes it might not work, and virtual environments sometimes might not work because of your microphone and other drivers issues. But most of the cases it works, and it works on my machine. That's what I tested yesterday as well. So let's go back and let's do this. So we'll start the Visual Studio, and we will copy the code which is there in our location. We'll create a clone and we'll use it. Let's go here to my, where is my Visual Studio? Visual Studio. Yep. So here is my Visual Studio. What we'll do is, where is that? Command palette, git clone. I'm going to clone this. Okay, so I'm going to clone it in my document code. Select repository location is code. Okay, we'll clone it. I'm going one step, every step there. So you can also run through if you've enabled the lab. It is already having all the installation. So open. So we have opened the code. I trust it. Yes, we have opened the code here. Okay, so I'm going back to my code. Okay, the repository is open, so there is no issues. So now we will go, and what they are saying is, we need to create a cognitive service, right? So we don't have the key or endpoint. So how do I do it? I go to the portal and click on this and create a new resource. It's easy to create a new resource, and just go to the AI and say cognitive service, or if it is not there, just say cognitive service and just create one. So pretty easy. It's just provide your resource group and region where you want to use it, and name and other things which is required. um, so I'm just giving whatever the name which is okay. This is wrong. Let me give a key 001. It takes that one. Yep. So by checking this box, yeah. So this is something which you need to do, and this is basically using the identity and other things, and managed identity. This is for your identity and using the Azure Active Directories and other things, and just create it, and you will be able to create it. And once you create, it will all look like this. Okay, so it will all look like this, and you're going to copy these keys. You can I copy either of the key and the location and use it. So before I go there, what they are saying, will open this code in the integrated terminal. Got it. Now, if you see here, app settings is there. Here is your code, cognitive keys, and other things which need to be provided, right? So we will just provide the cognitive keys which is there. We'll copy this and put this in the cognitive service key, and you need a location. Where is the location? It's in central US. I'm going to use central US location. Okay, so I'm going to save this. So even before I go there, let's go back to my okay. So we created, so it's very simple. So you need to give your subscription, you need to provide the resource group. These are the basic things if you're using with Azure. And then there is a region which you need to choose which region you want to run this, and then there's name and pricing tag. And then you create and wait for it to deploy, and we have these keys and endpoint, and we updated it. So now we have the cognitive service enabled, but we need to make sure our code uses this cognitive service. So if you remember the discussion which we had while I was running through the learn module, in that discussion we did mention that we need to go and create a configuration. So speech configuration and audio configuration. So that is what we are going to do now. So even before I do that, I need to add package into my service, right? So I need to add package. So I'm going to add a package which is there. So I'll just go into my if you remember, I've already opened this in the integrated terminal, and I'm going to add the SDK package to make sure it is enabled. The reason behind this is for each time you do, if you to verify whether the package is up or not, right? So we'll go here. If you see this code, most of these are Microsoft things are not like it's not enabled. There is no package available. So if I go here now and add this package, your code gets updated, and you will see some of these things will go off. See, if you see Microsoft is now, we are able to see that it's the package is up. So that's how you can develop as well. You can, it's basically I'm using CH, but also in Python, this is nothing but in virtual environment of your Python. Uh, you're just installing the cognitive service module, right? So that is the one. App settings, we did change that app settings. We did provide the key and the location. Once we created, we went to app settings. That is nothing but the uh, code which is here, the app settings which we did, we enabled. The same thing in Python, it has different thing, it's called environment. It's same thing, you're going to make changes here as well. This code is there in both C hash and Python, by the way, so you can make use of any of those. And then what you will do is you're going to create you're going to import these modules. So basically in C, in .NET in C, you're going to use it as namespaces, but in Python it's basically called as modules, right? So you're going to import it, and we're going to import this in the namespace code which is there, which is all the code is there in the program.cs or speakingclock.py. So if you go there, you can see this. Um, Here it's clearly mentioned like how you can design this. So you can go here, and cognitive speech service is what we need to update. So sorry, uh, I'm really sorry for this. Not here. We have to do it here. Import spaces. We are importing still. So we are importing this, and once we have imported, so you can see that the cognitive speech service got imported, and this speech config got enabled. Before that, it was not showing up. So this is a simple way to get this build up and running. So that is done, and what we are going to do now is to create a speech configuration. So if you see speech configuration and audio configuration, both the things we need to do. So this is where we do the speech configuration and audio configuration. Audio configuration, as I told you, I'll show you a link where you can have different audios as well. Okay, so we will anyway spend some time there if time permits. both I'm going to add here, and okay, it's been added, right? And now we are good to go, right? So we are going to run this .NET run. So what it will show us is you've done the configuration for making sure that your code is able to talk to the Azure Cognitive Service, which we have provided as a key and other things, right? So this is basically a code, simple code where you're using form subscription. So where can you see this speech configuration? If you go to my the SDK which I showed you, if I go here and search for speech config, right? If you see this, this is the information about your subscription and key and other things. So if you click on this, you can see how you can use this and what are the things it provides. So these are the methods on that, and this is the method which we are using from subscription. So this is how we are designing it, and while you're designing it, this is how you should also use the SDK. So there is bunch of things on the SDK, so you should see that you're making sure that the SDKs, you understand these SDKs and what each of these things do, so you get an idea. So over time you will be able to figure that out, and this is what the speech is. So I've used that, I've done that setting, the configuration is ready now. I'm going to see the configuration is all set, and we are going to run .NET run. So let's go back here and run the .NET run. So when I do this, it will tell me in which location I'm using this specific service. So don't worry about the warnings. See this, if you see this specifically, ready to use speech service in central US. So this is what we wanted. We have set the region. If you see the code here, we have said we are going to use this key and region, and this is the region we are picking it up, and this is the synthesis voice name is. So basically, if I'm speaking in English, it's basically picking up that I'm going to speak in English is what it is picking it. Okay, and let's go back now. Now we have set it, we have done the configuration. Now we have to do obviously set it for microphone, right, to use our microphone for the code to access it. So this is nothing but audio configuration, and then we will use it for speech recognizer. And once we have the speech recognizer, we are going to use easily we can use the different set of things. So now configuring speech recognition, you can see the code. Let me show you the code here. Where is this code supposed to be? Speech recognition. Okay, speed. I'll go here. It's already been amazingly designed, this lab, with all those places where you want to add the code, and you can easily go and make changes to the code and see what it does, each thing it does. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating an audio configuration to use default microphone input. You can also use audio file. I'll show you how, but I'm not doing it, but we can take it further. Speech recognizer is one of the things. So you are going to use both, and then we are going to write into speak now, and then it's basically done. And then now we need to process it. We will go and process this code, right? And let me show you how we're going to process this code. Um, we have done this setup now, so you don't need to do this audio input. If you want to do audio input from a file, then you can do all the other steps, but you can directly go into the steps which is mentioned here, add code to process. And this is the code where we are processing the code. We are verifying it creates a speech instance of speech recognizer, and it does run once, and then it waits. It creates a reason. As I told you, it is the results are stored, and from the results there is a property which is there, which is text. It takes the text and it prints the text in the code. So that is what it is doing. And if it's not the result is cancelled, then it will obviously take the details from the cancelled, which means error, and what is the reason of cancellation, error details. All these informations are stored when, as soon as you run this and create an instance of results, and from a speech perspective. So it's very simple coding, and you're just copying this code and go into the process speech here and putting this out. So bit of changes in the code. Okay, this is sorry for this. Okay, so we have edited it and we are creating a written command as well because we want to write it. So I'm saving all the changes I've made. We have done the changes and we have seen this. Yeah, so we are good to go. So we just need to .NET run. What happens here is it's going to ask me for time, and I'm going to tell the time, what time is it, and it's going to tell me what time is it, but it will only print it. So that means it is a speech to text, but it will not take um, much of the things, right? So we're going to do the next part of it where I'm going to talk to, ask time, and it prints it and also repeats back with some kind of voice, right? So that is something we will do it next, but right now it's just time to see how it is converting into a text, right? So let's go back and see how this is going to happen. What time is it? So it says it's 10:43. I'm a bit, uh, you know, it's 10:43 now. It's only printing the time, but it is not. Um, it's not basically coming back and doing any of these things. So it is also repeating here. What time is it? Is what I have asked, and it is printing back the time as well. So it's basically replying back, right? So uh, let us go back here and say we're going to make this change, configure speech synthesis. So basically I'm going to configure it to repeat. It's basically as I told you from the previous learn module, where there is a speech synthesizer where you're going to create an instance of that and you're going to make use of that code. So you go back and make the changes in the code, add the configuration here. You can see that it's basically I'm creating a voice as well. So we will see different voices later on, but this is a simple voice configuration which we are doing. And after that I'm going to say, okay, tell me this is what I want from an output perspective, and it picks up and it does the code synthesizing spoken output. So it's basically using the same technique which we discussed previously from a code perspective. So here is the code for that, and we have everything ready. So we'll run this. So okay, so I just need to do a .NET run. Oops, sorry. What time is it? Cancel it. Sorry, so I didn't save the changes. Basic development. What time is it?
The time is 10:45.
So this is, so I'm hoping that people were able to hear, but it did come back saying time is 10:45, and that's what this code is all about. So basically what it's doing is we have created the imported our namespace, the modules, whichever in language you understand this, and then there is configuration we did from picking up our key and region and other things, and we used this for creating an instance, and we use the same configuration for creating the voice configurations as well. And then we just went ahead, obviously these are simple .NET code which is there to ask what time is it and other things, and then we used configuration speeches, audio from a microphone. We did set it up, and then we use the speech synthesizer to get the information and store that information in the recognition speech recognition results, and you are using that to bring out the objects which is required. And there are a couple of objects which is there for that, which is reasons and text, which is listed out in that learn module which I spoke to you about. There is a bunch of things which is listed, so you can do it from there. And these are all things are there in the SDK as well for you to run. And now you are using different, you're using a watch name where it output voice, and also you're creating a config of new speech synthesizer, and then you are obviously using speech text method to get the output of that. So basically this is how you can do it, and we can go back and also test out maybe different language support we have, language and voice support. So if you click on this link, you can see that there is language and voice support which we have. So we have used a couple of things. We can say Indian, so couple of language support. So here if I go and say, so I can use different neural languages. So you can copy this and go back to my code and make this change in here and key in this and save this and run a code saying um, what time is it.
The time is 10:48.
So this is a different voice altogether. So simple, it's everything is pre-built for you. It's available for you to use, and that's the interesting part of this, right? So you can use different languages, different voice, so that people can understand as well. And that's the pre-built pre-built things which you can use. So there are a couple of other things as well which I'll go through while doing the demo of the other things, but this is how you can use different languages. So all you need to change is this, and you can make use of it. And this is something which I wanted to also talk about. So basically the synthesized spoken output, we have a string, and it's basically you are giving XML way of response of completing this lab, time to end this lab, and this is all same, but only thing is your input is via an XML to control, to build more control to it. I'll show you an example. uh, Spoken output is, this is the one which we have, and I'll just put all of this in, not to make sure that delete it, I'll just comment it. Good developers comment. So let's go here and see this. Okay, see this voice, and there is response, there's break, there's time, and then there is this, and speak, then there is speech. Oops, speak is here, and then there is if loop, and then we'll set this up. I'm just indenting the code, everything, and the console is always there, so we'll keep that console right. uh, this is a simple one, XML, which we have provided, and I'm going to save this, and maybe we'll run this and see how it looks. What time is it?
The time is 10:50. Time to end this lab.
So this time to end this lab is coming from the XML, right? So now you can see that you can see that there is a time to end this lab is available here. We'll make some changes to this. I'm not sure how it will look. Uh, I'm not done it before. Let me go back and take this voice under voice, say use something cheerful. Let's take this expression itself and go into the code and add something cheerful, maybe instead of break, add something cheerful. I'm just trying this out, live coding, so I have not done this before. Hope this is right. Something is missing here. Did I miss voice name? Oh, okay. This is supposed to be cheerful. Sorry. This one. This one. Remove this one. Okay. Now we will see if there is anything I'm missing. This should be cheerful. Say tomato. This should be coming here. Let me see this. I don't know what is missing here. Anyways, this is something missing in the code. Let's keep this way to do it. Speakers closed. Oh, only one object can be done. Okay. If I have to close this, sorry, if I have to remove this, it will show up. Yep. I just wanted to show you how you can add a cheerful thing in this XML, but to do this, you can go back and try it out. But this is something which I was trying it from this one, but this is not the code which is there, but there is a different code. So I'll have to go back and do more debug of this. But this is how you can use it. So basically, I don't want to spend most of the time here. So um, this is how you can use this synthesized language. So basically, I have to go back here and see what this means. So basically, you see there is bunch of things from a voice perspective, and also from a style perspective. You can provide the express styles, and also some of these style where you're, as I told you, right, these are cheerful style. You can add different kind of things to your output. So different angry, sad and question mark and various kind of things you can add to this specific through the XML. So that is what you can do it here from a XML perspective. So this is just the app from a where you're not converting the language. It's just I'm talking to something and it is converting it into something, and it is creating a different code. So just to remove this, and just to show you again a couple of things which you can do here is let me show you. It will also fail if I have to show you, I removed something really in the code, or this is something which I have removed. Let me go here. Speech synthesis, synthesizer. No, this is what? Okay, this is okay. So this is the code. I wanted to show you this. Now, if I go and say, hey, this is Vivek. So it is taking the text, but it is no response because uh, it's not the time which I have asked. It is taking the text and it is showing me the text output, but it is cancelled. So basically the data and output is different. So it is not processing the request to the time teller, but it does take this as an output. So basically this is in real time, it is converting into a text. Okay, so let us go back and see um, the other thing, which is speech translation. So in different languages, how we can translate it. So I'm just opening that code here, and this is a different exercise. So altogether, the way this one is, so as of now we did this module, but we're going into different module which is part of the same service, so which is translate speech. So we're going there, and if you go to this introduction of this, and which is very similar to the one which we did now. So we are provisioning the same things from speech translation. The only thing is it's the same SDKs, endpoints, everything is the same. Translate speech, it creates the configurations. The only thing which is needed is the language translation configuration. That means you need to provide a single language, the spoken language and the target language of conversion. So this is basically to convert English to Hindi or English to French or any other language. So this is where you're going to translate the configuration, and then there is obviously the audio configurations, the microphone configuration of the file, and then you create the same thing and same output and the same set of results which is available for you to pick it up and use it. So this is something which you can do. So everything is the same, nothing changes. There is manual and manual and also you can have multiple language as well. So that means there can be multiple inputs and there are multiple different language inputs, and there can be multiple target outputs as well in a different SDKs you can use. I mean SDK options you can use for that. Similarly, there is a lab for this. Similarly, you can set it up and use the exercise and other things. So the lab is the same. The setup is the same which we did for this. So there is a setup, the same thing which we did for that one, the previous example, and for this one as well. The same thing. Setup is the same code base which is here, and we already have cognitive service, and we definitely need to change the code, add this cognitive service details, and obviously we need to set this install this package. So we haven't installed the package in this code. So this is translation code which we are talking about. So we just need to go here and install the package. So the package is installed. Similarly, what we did, then app settings. Sorry, the is having an app setting. So here also we need to do the app setting. So how we're going to do it? We go here, take the keys, and go here and drive cognitive service key. You can use any of the keys, in fact. So you can use any of this key and copy this central US and provide the location and add it in your code. I'm using the same. So there is code base which is having similar code bases, and I think same thing, input namespaces. We're going to use the similar set of things. So here it is again, the namespace is the same. I'm translating this. I'm adding that here, and you can see I'm saving this, and it's everything is fine now. Again, the configurations are there. I need to do configurations. If you see, if you remember the module, right? If in the module there is audio configurations, there's speech configuration, and then there is translation configuration. So we need to do translation configuration. This is very similar to the configurations which we did, and we were going to do it here. And there is these are the target languages which we are going to use. The speech recognition is going to use English, but target language, I need to choose my target language, and it specifies which target language I'm going to use, and then use it. You can also add more if you want to. You can add, say for example, there is the high is Hindi, and KN is for Kannada, which is the language I understand as well. So there's a language which I've added here, and then I have to configure speech. So this is something which I need to configure. So let's go and configure speech. This is something which we did last time as well. So we just go here and configure it. So yeah, configuring it. So basically, English, it can convert it into French or ES, which is could be some Spanish, I believe. So and there is Hi and Hindi, and there is Kannada. These are languages which we can convert it to. And now you can just run it, just save it and run it, so that uh, what we will see now is, it's basically tells you ready to translate from English, press enter anything you want. So uh, let's go here, and we have saved this, and we're going to run this. So now it is asking me enter anything. So this is a text which I'm providing. So I'm say, Hindi, enter the target, enter anything else to stop. So nothing we have done as of now, is just that we are telling Hindi, and that's all we are talking about. So there's nothing specific from a execution perspective. So it is right now it is ready for using. Now we need to configure and start using it. Audio we haven't configured it, so we are going to configure the audio, and then we're going to configure the translation recognizer, and then we speak, and then convert the result, add the result, and see the output, right? So here we are going to use translate speech code. So there is translate speech code. Okay, I have translate speech code. Cool. So now you have translate speech code, which is ready, which is where you're just giving audio format. You're telling this is how you need to translate based on you speak. You take the input and use the recognizer, which is async recognizer for translator, where you have created an instance of translation recognizer. You're just creating that and putting it in the result, and then using that result to text, and then you're printing the text. Just make a note here. I'm talking, I'm input is my audio, and then there is output is basically the text which is coming, and it is coming in different language, the target language. And if you see here, there is a target language which is been the parameter for the output, and the target language is set when you provide the target language. Okay, so that's how the code is designed. And right now we have this part ready. Now if you don't want to use input, you don't need to use it. You can just run to program, run directly to the You don't need a file, you just need to go and translator and run it, right? So let it run. We go and do the .NET run. Before with that, we need to save it and then .NET run. So we run this. So it says Hindi, enter target will say Hindi. You note that it is not showing Kannada because I'm not added it in the output code. What is my name? So it's basically taking mera naam kya hai. So that's what it is printing as of now. If you're able to read Hindi, it says here mera naam kya hai. That's what it is telling. So we can also do it in different ways. KN is also supported, but it's just that it's not printing it because the code is not updated. I'll show you where to update it as well. So if I say in Kannada, my name is Vivek. So it is typing Nanna Hesuru Vivek. So it is converting, okay, it is converting it into different things. So you can see this here, right? So I'm just closing this off, and why this is Kannada is not coming here is because I haven't updated this part of the code. Okay, so hi for Hindi, I can even say here KN is equal to for Kannada /n. Okay, so that if I do that, it will start showing up the code. Okay, so that's if you see, I speak in English. It's giving, the output is in different language, and now I want it to be more efficient, right? If I have to build a traveler app, and if I'm building a traveler app, I go out, I travel to India. If I'm traveling from different place, I travel to India and I want to talk to someone in Hindi, I can use in different languages, right? And you can see this different voice synthesizer is there here, and I'm just taking this, synthesize the voice. And again, these are all same things. It creates an instance, put the instance, copy the instance, put the resulting audio complete, add it here, right? So we go back and add this code. So where voice is equal to this speech using, again, you're creating an instance of result, putting that result and seeing what's the result, and if it is true, it is going to be the voice. Done. So we have the synthesizer now. So all we need to do is just go back and run it. So once we run it, you will see it has been converted into different different voice, right? So we will go here and save this and say clear.NET run. See, Kannada is coming now. I'll say in Hindi is my target language. What's my name?
मेरा नाम क्या है?
So if you see, there is it's showing it, the output is in Hindi. I'm talking in English, and the output is in Hindi. That's the output. I hope you were able to hear that. I'm just closing this now. So this is how you can use it, and you can also see now it is converted into text as well, and also you can use it for different various purposes. And you can see here you can also change voices, different voices. You can also have custom voices as well. You can build custom voices on top of this. That is the custom thing which we can do. So basically we can use something called as Swara. I think this Swara spelling is correct. Let's see if it is there. What's my name? It got cancelled because I've used the wrong spelling. I hope so. What's my name? it is getting cancelled because I'm using the long language again. What is the language?
Also, I think
Indian.
there should be no A between swara. So you put the spelling also, I think you need to check.
There should not be.
SWARA, I think should work.
Is- Oh yeah, ARA. Sorry, I think this is correct.
Also, time check. We are at 11:10, so I just want some time to take questions. Yeah.
Yep. Hi. What's my name? Hopefully this is
Die.
okay. It took. I was pretty fast to it, but it is changing the voice. That's what I wanted to show you. Cool. So this is how you can do this. So let me spend 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes. So we have seen the use cases. We did went through the use cases, and we also went through how we can deliver because of on-prem container support. We have REST APIs and SDKs and other things which you have. Couple of services which is built on service. We can it's available here. I also wanted to spend some time on the studio. If there is time, I can spend some time on the studio as well. I have built the studio custom speech. So all you need to do is there is a speech.microsoft.com. You go here and it is available on a couple of regions as well. Just make a note of that. Go ahead and start building your custom speech. I have built one. It's pretty easy. All you need to do is these are the steps you need to go through, and I have provided audio and transcript. So basically, this is the transcript, which is also part of the audio. So this is the transcript which I have provided to build a simple custom speech to text kind of a thing. And I have trained the model. I have given two data sets for this and just train the model. It takes a lot of time to train the model for a real-time application, but this is a simple example. And then there is you can test the model, and it does test on the various data sets which you provide, or the output you provide, and then it does test and let you know accuracy and all those things, and then you deploy it. So when you deploy it, you deploy it with you get a subscription key and endpoints and how you can use it in the SDKs, and also, as I told you, short and long audio speeches. And then there is check endpoint which is available. You can also check endpoint. You can add the audio data, and you can verify that as well, and it does verify. If we find some time, we can test it out, but this is how you can build it. So this is Speech Studio. Has complete set of things where it's all no code. You can also go back and build speech to text on your own custom ones, and various use cases. You can build assistants, custom keywords, when custom commands for running couple of things, keywords in terms of IoT products and other things. So you can use this tool to build that. um, Pretty much done with most of the thing, apart from, so this is how I have used. So subscription, create a custom, I told you, right, upload it and train the model, and you get an API and you can use that API. So let me keep this open. Any questions, Vinayak? You want to? I just want to make sure that we spend some time on questions as well. Is there any questions in the chat? Let me see.
There are a couple of questions in chat. I think the first question is turn on my video. Just give me a sec.
Let me close this.
Yeah, so there is a question whether this recording will be shared. Yes, it will be shared as a YouTube channel, and in the YouTube channel there is a playlist called Highway 200 Unicorn. So it will be uploaded in that, and yeah, you can see under the videos tab as well, which shows the latest videos. So quickly going to the questions. Ajay Lavkari asks, can you also talk about how to implement real-time, near real-time speech to text transcription, infinite streaming? Example, transcribing a long lecture speech and how to deal with the interim and final results.
Yes, so yes, you can do it. Let me show you. It was in my basically my slide. Let me show you that. Is it? It was in my slide. No. Okay. It was. I had opened it for. Let me show you the. Where is it? It's in. So one of the thing is to use it with batch for scale perspective. So you can use batch transcription, or you can use the as I told you, right, Indian the other one which we spoke about in the slide as well. Both things, both are available for scale perspective. So let me show you that. It's called ingestion client, right? So is it open somewhere? I have opened it for the demo itself. um, you can use both ingestion client and no, I don't have ingestion client. So anyways, let's open it. Okay, this particular one, which will provide you queuing, right? It is for building a scale model. You can use your own storage and bring in, put it in the queue and use Azure functions and other things to scale and use in the cognitive services. Similarly, you can also build it in the batch. That means you can have your own storage. You can bring your own storage and use the batch tool to run this. Again, the similar structure, use it with the containers, use it with wherever you want to use it. But definitely you can scale this in real time for sure, using the ingestion for sure, because it's using the functions and other things and queuing systems. You're having your own storage, and there is a step. Okay, GitHub is released on the GitHub, so you can use this sample. No, not sample.
Um,
Yeah.
Vivek, I think the question was just to give a context because I know about the product. It's a real-time application. Like for example, let's say uh, a person who is maybe like say not able to hear and real time, like I'm speaking to you in real time. They want to be able to kind of read the text to speech, or or do real time translation. So batch would be good if you have transcripts, or if you have recorded say like call center and those kind of things. But the idea here is that to do like infinite streaming, like you have continuous updates. Like for example, if you were transcribing something like this meeting, how would that work through the cognitive service API?
Yeah, so that's how you can build via custom ones as well. So, so basically, the audio files is getting uploaded every time, and then there is training is happening. Once the training is completed, the Azure functions and other things are processing these information into the cognitive services, right? So the ultimately, from a real-time perspective, the data which is coming in, and it is you're building a scale model with the custom building it through the studio or your own custom way of building the models. And once you're building it, probably that will be an input for the execution.
Cool. There is one more question from Venkatesh Subramaniam. Are there any provisions in the speech services for uh, low literate users, voice speech UX?
Low literature users.
So I'm not sure I understand the question. Venkatesh, what do you mean by low literate users? Because I think the language would be pretty much the same, right? Like, are there any specific things that you're looking for? Or maybe you can tell us the use case a little more. See, if you are on the call, you can just unmute yourself and ask the question as well.
Maybe I think it's more from, yeah, that's where the output, the speech synthesizer helps, right? If you're not um, if you're not able to read, you can obviously able to hear. So probably that is the answer to it. That means your application should have, there is an input and there is an output. So the input could be in different language as we showed you, right? It's a different language, and there is a output which is coming in a different language as well. So you can basically choose which language you want to hear this information. If your app is built in such a way that, hey, if I am giving a webinar in English, and if somebody else wants to hear this webinar in Hindi, and it is converting it in real time, and the information is in real time in getting that in Hindi, and he is able to hear it in Hindi. So it's basically he is able to understand what I'm speaking in English. So uh, this way, even the everybody can understand information, and it is open, and it is based on accessibility and inclusivity as well.
Okay. I think that's those are the questions we had. Just waiting. Okay, there's one more question that had just come in. Any provision to extract
Yes,
spec features for non-verbal inputs, cough, sneeze, machinery?
yes,
Uh,
you can.
Yeah, so I think the associated question with this, which I've often heard, is it possible to clean out the audio for example, when we are speaking, there is there are pauses to do that. Is there like something inbuilt as well? So yeah, so one is the spectral features, and then I think the add-on question is, is it possible to clean up the audio as well?
Yes, you can. You can convert the audio into different formats. But again, these are custom ways of doing it. Um, from a real-time perspective on Azure, it's all pre-built, and some of the things you can customize. But there is a custom way to do it using the custom studio, which I was showing you. You can build your own models on top of it, and make sure that you use your model.
Is there okay? Couple more questions coming in, but I'm just being conscious of time. So we're just about 5 minutes. So let's see if we can get to all of the questions. Is the speech to text model available for mobile devices?
Yes, let me share the supported SDKs on different platforms as well. It's definitely available on both the devices.
Okay. The second last question is: does Azure Cognitive Service send it input to Android or iOS accessibility service?
I'm not sure, but there is a SDK support. That means it should.
Okay.
For it's Android, and I'm not a mobile developer, being a mobile developer. So is from an Android and iOS perspective, the SDKs are available. So that means it should be able to talk to the different platform accessibility services.
Okay, I think there's a clarification for the earlier question. So, low literate people means there are so many colloquial languages. Yes, I think short answer to that is yes. I think you can actually have specific either colloquial language, or even like if you are in healthcare, you have specific jargon. If you are like a computer science person, like you will have ML, DS, data structure, which is data structures and machine learning. So you have all of these acronyms as well, and specific jargon that can be added in terms of the speech recognition. It does require some custom work, but yes, I mean, if you are aware of the either the colloquial language, or you want to kind of modify that, it is possible to do that. I think one last question from Ajay. I think are any noise suppression features available, which is kind of similar to what I asked.
Yeah. It's there. I'll just share the link. Noise cancellations in your. So it's also based on your thing, but microphone array recommendations and other things, which is also there. Speech device overview is available here. I'm going to share that in the SDKs. You can control that. I'm sharing that link with you.
Good. I think that's pretty much, what we have time for, and I think you have also answered pretty much all of the questions as well. Any last thoughts, Vivek, before we close?
Oh, nothing from my end. I think most of the things. I mean, what I would suggest is go through those learn modules which has been provided. So probably that will give you much insight into this, and also the lab which is already there. So you can just go through. It's a pre-built lab, so you can just launch the lab and work through the lab. It's a direct VM which is available for you to play around. It just enables for 1 hour, so it gets disabled after 1 hour.
Great. I think both of these look useful. So thanks, Vivek. Thanks for the webinar. I think a lot. Even I learned a lot of new features as well, because I think the service itself keeps getting updated. Every 3 to 6 months as well. So thank you so much for the webinar, and we will see you in the next edition of Scale Up Thursday. Any housekeeping announcements, Srijesh?
Yeah. So thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for participating in this webinar. So we have posted a feedback form in the chat. So please fill up this feedback form to improve our future webinars. It will be a great insight for us as well. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.